Hello my fellow nerds! In this Baldur's Gate 3 video series I am going to take a look at each and every one of the class spell lists and discuss which spells I think are worth considering and those I would personally pick up at each and every character level. So please remember to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Today it's time to look at the Cleric spell list. Now with that out of the way, let's get nerdy. In BG3, the Cleric is a prepared caster, meaning that you have access to the entire suite of Cleric spells, and you can prepare a number of them based on the level of your Cleric character, plus its Wisdom modifier. Another important note for Cleric spellcasting is that you will gain additional spells dependent on the domain you have chosen as a subclass, and that these Cleric domain spells are always prepared. There are a total of 7 Cleric domains to choose from, being Life, Light, Trickery, Knowledge, Nature, Tempest, and War. And you gain access to these additional domain spells at level 3, 5, 7, and 9. At the first level of Cleric, you can pick up 3 different cantrips and you have 7 different cantrips to choose from. Namely Blade Ward, Produce Flame, Thaumaturgy, Guidance, Resistance, Light, and Sacred Flame. For my cantrip selection, I'm going to go with 1 damage dealing cantrip, 1 support cantrip, and an out of combat utility cantrip. And of course, whenever it's on your spell list, you definitely need to pick up Guidance. So that's going to be my first selection here. For my combat cantrip, I'm going to go with Sacred Flame, which unfortunately is a saving throw type spell, and the saving throw is also fairly commonly resisted in dexterity. However, the radiant damage is fairly reliable in nature. And then finally I'm going to be picking Resistance, giving me a further option in and out of battle when all of my spell slots have been used up. The Cleric as a full caster also has access to level 1 spells right at character level 1, and there are 9 from the Cleric spell list that you can choose from. And I would even go so far as to say that maybe Cleric has one of the best lists of level 1 spells for all of the full casters. And as such, there aren't a huge amount of wrong choices at level 1. Ultimately, I went with Protection from Good and Evil, which imposes disadvantage on any attacks made on my ally that this has been cast on. For my second choice, I went with Sanctuary, which means that you or an ally that you cast this on cannot be targeted by attacks until you or your ally attack first. I also picked up Guiding Bolt, which is an attack spell, with the added benefit of granting advantage on the next attack made against the guiding bolted creature. And last but not least, I picked the spell that every single Cleric should have, as probably this is their main role in the party, being Healing Word. At level 1 of Cleric, you also gain access to your domain spells. And in the interest of time, I won't be going over each and every one of these, but I will be putting them on screen for you to pause and inspect at your own leisure. Right, on to level 2 of Cleric, and we still have access to the same level 1 spells. And this is where I'm going to be picking up Bane, providing my Cleric with an additional option, now being able to heal, support the party, deal damage, and also set up allied spellcasters trying to get off a saving throw type spell. At Cleric level 3 we get access to level 2 spells, and again there are a number of really good options here. The most notable of which are probably Aid, Hold Person, Silence, Blindness, Spiritual Weapon, Warding Bond, and Enhance Ability. My personal favorite, and the one that I'm going to be picking at level 3, is Spiritual Weapon, which gets me some use out of my bonus action each and every round of combat without using up my concentration. At level 4 of Cleric we get to pick up another cantrip, and I would say go with whatever suits your fancy. Personally, I'm gonna go with Produce Flame, which gives me another damage dealing cantrip and also sheds some light for my Underdark adventuring. At Cleric level 5 we get access to level 3 spells. Couple of pretty decent options, but really there's only one that you want to pick up at level 5, and that is Spirit Guardians. For my other preparation slot, I'm actually gonna go with Glyph of Warding, which allows me, if I have time to, prep the battlefield and maybe, just maybe, turn the odds in my favor before I roll initiative. At level 5 you also gain access to a number of prepared spells based on your subclass of choice. At level 6 of Cleric we have another prepared slot to fill, and this time I'm going to go with the ever popular and powerful Hold Person. At level 7 of Cleric we gain access to level 4 spells, and we have 4 different ones to choose from, being Banishment, Freedom of Movement, Death Ward and Guardian of Faith. And I'm going to be choosing the spell that I think is one of the best level 4 spells in the entire game, and that is Banishment. And again at level 7 we also gain some spells that are always prepared based on the domain or subclass that we have chosen. At level 8 we have yet another prepared slot to fill, and this time I'm going to be choosing Remove Curse, which is a level 3 spell, reinforcing my more cleric role within the party. At level 9 we gain access to level 5 spells, and there are 7 different ones to choose from on the cleric spell list. The most notable ones in my opinion are Planar Binding, Greater Restoration and Flame Strike. For my cleric, based on the fact that I took an ASI or ability score increase, I have 2 different prepared slots to fill. And with that I'm going to be picking up one of the level 5 spells that I've just mentioned in Flame Strike, as well as go down a couple of levels and pick up the out of combat, utility or social interaction spell, Enhance Ability. At Cleric level 9 we also get our final pair of always prepared spells based on our domain of choice. Level 10 gives us another cantrip, and I'm going to be choosing Thaumaturgy. It's a lot more fun at the table than it is in BG3, but it's still pretty decent, granting advantage on intimidation and performance checks. And for my prepared spell at level 10, I'm going to go and grab Bestow Curse, which I think is a fairly underrated spell as it is extremely powerful, and also makes my cleric character a little bit more flexible in the way that it plays. At level 11 we get access to level 6 spells, and there are a number of really good options here, and choose the one that fits the best with your cleric build thus far. For me personally, I love Hero's Feast, with which I give my allies immunity against being poisoned, diseased or frightened, as well as a slight HP increase, and the most important of all, advantage on all wisdom saves without using up concentration. Last but not least, at level 12 I am once again going to be leaning into my clerical nature, and I'm going to be choosing Heal for my final prepared spell. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please smash that like button, and if you have watched a couple of the gaming analytics videos by now, please consider subscribing to the channel. Until I see you again, stay nerdy.